Hey, what's up guys? It's JRPG Console with another video. I want to bring something very important to your attention, and this is mainly my US audience, since a lot of people that are subscribed to me are from US. There's this thing called the Restrict Act, and it's something you should probably be concerned about. And I would probably try and write or phone your MPs about this, because apparently if this goes through, this is going to be kind of like This is going to be kind of like China's censorship Great Wall, except it's going to be worse, because apparently if you try and use a VPN to circumvent this, and they catch you doing this, you will be fined $250,000, and you will actually go to jail for this. Yeah, apparently Canada ain't the only place to worry about censorship. Now America is hopping on board and trying the same shit. And it's really frustrating that in this current year, almost all bodies of government in every country is trying to censor what people say because they're tired of getting criticized and all that shit. You know, basically the government are man children and narcissistic assholes, basically. So I'm on the part where they're discussing about the Restrict Act breakdown, so I'm going to mute the mic and let's take a listen to this, because this is pretty concerning. All right.
Before I break down the Restrict Act, I must give a shout out to Lewis Rossman, who did a detailed breakdown of the bill on his channel and added some much needed context. Be sure to check out his channel using the link in the description. Trust me when I say that it is extremely underrated. Now, the bill begins by specifying that all the powers within it will be given to the United States Secretary of Commerce. For context, the Secretary of Commerce is appointed by whoever happens to be the president at the time. This appointment is approved by the majority of senior US politicians. Next, the bill gives some definitions, and there are a couple worth pointing out. The first is covered transactions, which means a transaction in which a foreign adversary has any interest. Remember that bit? Again, it's the Secretary of Commerce who determines which entity is a foreign adversary. The second definition worth pointing out is critical infrastructure, and its meaning comes from the infamous Patriot Act. Lewis explained in his video about the bill that the Patriot Act defines critical infrastructure in such a way that it can apply to basically anything that the government sees fit. The third definition worth pointing out is foreign adversary, because it actually includes a few examples. Naturally, it lists China, Cuba, Iran, North Korea, and Russia. It also includes Venezuela, but only so long as the country is ruled by Nicolas Maduro. Regime change coming to Venezuela soon. Jokes aside, the next section of the bill deals with, quote, information and communication technology products that pose undue or unacceptable risk. Obviously, it's once again the Secretary of Commerce who determines which information and technology poses a risk to the national security of the United States. The bill notes one of the risks as being anything that could, quote, undermine democratic processes and institutions, or steer policy and regulatory decisions in favor of the strategic objectives of a foreign adversary. In other words, if you oppose the US government in any way, you're in big trouble. Now, this ties into something that Lewis noticed in the 7th section of the bill, and that's that lobbyists will be allowed to advise the Secretary of Commerce as to which products and services should be labelled foreign adversaries and banned in the US. This would inevitably lead to a monopoly in every industry. Later on, in Section 11, the bill reveals exactly what fines and jail time Americans would suffer for interacting in any way with an entity deemed a foreign adversary, or doing anything that could be labelled a risk to national security. It starts by saying that attempts to evade these laws are illegal. Now, this is code for a crackdown on virtual private networks, or VPNs, which is one aspect of the bill that went viral. For reference, VPNs provide privacy when you browse websites, and they let you access foreign websites. Lewis noted that the US government has been trying to ban VPNs for at least 15 years. Then, when it comes to the actual punishments, Americans can face up to $250,000 in fines for civil penalties. For criminal penalties, the fines can be as much as $1 million, result in up to 20 years in prison, and even result in the government seizing your assets. Still no mention of banning TikTok, by the way. But wait, there's more. In the 12th section of the bill, there's a sentence which reads, quote, "Actions taken by the Secretary under this Act shall not be subject to Sections 551, 553 through 559, and 701 through 707 of Title V United States Code." Lewis looked up these sections in his video, and it means there's no oversight. Specifically, it will not be possible for Americans to submit Freedom of Information requests to understand why it is that the Secretary of Commerce is labelling some entities as foreign adversaries or some activities as high risk. As a cherry on top, neither Congress nor the courts can request information. Now, these disturbing details are why the Restrict Act is being referred to by many as the Patriot Act for the Internet, or Patriot Act 2.0. For those unfamiliar, the Patriot Act was passed in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks in 2001. Its provisions permitted spying on everyone.
Is this a coincidence at this point? I told everybody when I was my first channel that 9/11 was an inside job. Do you guys need more proof than this? I'm just saying. I'll continue the video.
In the name of fighting terrorism. As some of you will know, the Patriot Act was supposed to be temporary, but in 2013, an intelligence consultant named Edward Snowden blew the whistle on the ongoing surveillance. He also revealed that other governments around the world are engaged in similarly extensive levels of domestic surveillance. As a fun fact, the Patriot Act is apparently the origin of all the KYC requirements in finance today. You'll know this if you've been keeping up with our coverage of the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF. The Restrict Act could result in KYC requirements online, hence why Patriot Act 2.0 is an accurate alias. Now, I'll remind you that the Restrict Act has a good chance of becoming law. Last I checked, the bill has at least 20 supporters in the Senate, which consists of 100 senior politicians. If it passes the Senate, it will head to the House, and if passed there, it will be signed off by Biden and officially become law. It's too soon to say whether the bill will survive this circuit, but it's already clear that it's causing a backlash against all the other bills that are trying to ban TikTok. This was made apparent when Rand Paul blocked Josh Hawley's bill in order to fast-track his own bill to ban TikTok. Note that both are Republicans. In stark contrast to the Restrict Act, the originally titled No TikTok on United States Devices Act does actually ban TikTok. More importantly, this second bill isn't packed with provisions that give the government more power. It's only 4 sections long and only provides specifics around the TikTok ban itself. Now, unfortunately, the video showing the exchange between Rand and Josh has a lot of comments from uninformed viewers claiming that the bill he tried to fast-track will lead to government surveillance. This isn't the case at all, but the exchange did put the TikTok ban into perspective. Josh's arguments for banning TikTok are essentially the same as the ones I mentioned earlier. TikTok collects everything. It shares sensitive data with the CCP about journalists and politicians, and this ban has been a long time coming as a result. He also revealed that TikTok has been lobbying against the ban. Now, Rand's reason for blocking Josh's TikTok ban was that it sets a dangerous precedent for the US government to do the same to other apps it doesn't like. He also argued that it goes against the First Amendment, free speech, and that it's technically illegal to ban TikTok in the US because of this.
See, this is important why everybody needs to speak up and talk about this and fight tooth and nail about this, because the internet is in danger as a whole, almost all around the globe of the world, being censored by politicians, and I hate to say it, they're old geezer boomers that should not be allowed to push their ideals onto the younger generation. And I'm not saying that all boomers are bad, so I don't want people to take this out of context and say that I'm saying all baby boomers are bad and all that stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of good baby boomers that don't have this mindset, but the toxic mindset of the politicians are the problem. And I think another reason they want to do this is because if they control the freedom of flow of information, then they're shortly going to make, I would say probably in maybe 10, 15 years, if I had to guess, martial law will come. And they will do more extreme things and more extreme things. That's why there has to be a check and balance to stop this shit. People need to rise up and peacefully protest and be more vocal than ever. Because if we let this shit slide, it's gonna get worse. Okay? So it isn't just Canadians that actually need to wake the fuck up and actually go and speak out more. It's some people in the United States that need to wake the fuck up and speak up too, because we can't let this shit keep going on. This is not a good thing for the world. It's not.
Rand then proclaimed that people have the ability to know what's good and what's bad, and that they have the power to uninstall the app if they feel it's bad for them. He said that you should fear your own government, not China's, and asked if internet censorship is more dangerous than questionable content. Josh fired back by saying that the First Amendment doesn't protect China's ability to spy on US citizens. Josh also seemed to imply that Rand had been paid by TikTok's lobbyists to block his attempt to fast-track the ban. Now, I highly doubt this. Rand is a libertarian. He is wary of all governments everywhere. It sucks that his valid viewpoints could soon be suppressed by all the internet censorship laws being rolled out by governments around the world. More about those in the description. Now, to wrap things up, I want to try and settle the debate. Should TikTok be banned? Well, to my mind, this debate is similar to the ones about banning or legalizing drugs. If you think about it, social media platforms like TikTok are mental drugs of sorts, and they come with their own unique benefits and risks. Suppose you ban this mental drug. Chances are that people will still find some way to get their hands on it, in this case using VPNs and the like. Now, this is a problem because you would lose oversight of how this drug is being used. Attempts to crack down on VPNs also wouldn't go over well and would be opposed. Now suppose you legalize this mental drug. Chances are that it will be relentlessly promoted by the individuals and institutions that profit from it. This is a problem because it would lead to excess consumption and give rise to the kind of extreme content that we see on most social media today.
The internet is a double-edged sword. It always has been a double-edged sword. But I'm sorry, when the government tries to put their foot down and basically try and parent us because, there's many excuses they try and use, like, oh, we need to protect the children. Oh, we need to do this. We need to do that. Whatever they tell you is bullshit because they're just lying to try and think that their narrative is right and yours is wrong. And this is a dangerous precedent we live in. All this talk about Illuminati, one world government. Is it really a conspiracy theory at this point? I feel like this was a warning. Look at George Orwell 1984, by any means. This has been JRPG Console. I'm out.